Once upon a time, a long time ago, in a far-away eastern country, there was a prince named Khusrausha. His father was the king of the mighty Persian Empire. He wanted his only son to have a good education, so he invited the most profound teachers and scholars in the world to come to his court to teach him. Khusrausha was endowed with intelligence. He was more eager to learn than most people. He studied many fields such as history, geography, theology, as well as archery and horseback riding. He also enjoys reading poetry and does not hesitate to pen and compose hybrid poems. Soon, that student went beyond the understanding of his teachers, even the wisest ones. The reputation of the talented prince continued to spread far and wide, across borders, reaching the ears of the Indian king. Having heard rumors about his outstanding talent, he really wanted to meet the prince of the neighboring country, so he sent messengers to Persia to convince Khusrausha and Hash-39's father to let him go to India. Khusrausha and Hash-39's father was a wise man. He really wanted to live in harmony with the powerful neighboring kingdom, and he thought that this could be a trip that would bring his son many valuable lessons and experiences. He then ordered a convoy of 10 camels loaded with silk and precious jewels as gifts for the Indian king, and also selected 20 of the bravest warriors among the generals to accompany the group. Khusrausha traveled. On the road, Don and number 39. Know how many weeks we passed through scorching hot deserts and vast steppes until we were attacked by bandits. Although the accompanying warriors fought with great bravery, they all fell one after another because they were only 20 men against 200 fierce men. Realizing he would lose, Khusrausha pushed his heel hard into the horse and number 39's flank. The handsome horse galloped like an arrow with all its might. When it was far away from the damned robbers, it ran out of strength. The animal collapsed and died of exhaustion. Khusrausha stroked his loyal friend and number 39's sweaty fur one last time while looking worriedly at the distant horizon. He just kept moving forward without knowing where his steps would lead him. So he walked day and night without seeing a single person. Finally, he arrived in front of the city wall of an unfamiliar city. This city was very large and very densely populated. Khusrausha walked into a tailor shop to ask what place this was. The old man in the store stopped and looked up at him for a long time and then said, "You came from far away, right?" As he said that, he attentively looked at the tattered luxurious clothes that he was wearing. "What is your name?" Khusrausha hesitated a bit before answering, but then he told the old man his entire story. The old man shook his head and replied, "Be careful, Don and number 39. Reveal this to anyone. Right now you are in a country that is hostile to your country." "But Don and number 39. Be afraid," he added when he saw the look on his face. "The prince and number 39's doubts. I neither like violence nor war. I and number 39. Denounce you." Then the old man treated him quite kindly. A few days later, when the prince regained his strength, the old tailor asked him, "What are you going to do now? You must have some profession to make a living." "I know the arts and sciences, I also know how to write," the prince replied enthusiastically. The old man exclaimed, "You can make a living from those things later!" "Okay, you are a strong young man. I will buy you an axe so you can go into the forest to cut wood and bring it to the market to sell." Khusrausha listened to the old tailor and number 39's advice, and he quickly paid all the expenses. Waste for him. One day, while he was cutting wood in the deep forest, his axe hit an iron circle. Khusrausha stopped his work and bent down to look at that iron ring. It turned out it was used to lift a lid. He used all his strength to pull that heavy door open. Below is a marble staircase leading deep underground, illuminated by flickering candles. He stood motionless for a long time because he was so surprised. Then, both curious and a little worried, he slowly walked down the stairs step by step. He went to a large garden bathed in blue light. In the middle of the trees with silver walls, a palace stood tall with diamond towers. A young girl was sitting in an armchair. She raised her dark eyes to look at the heart-wrenching boy. Khusrausha and #39's heart throbbed. He whispered, "Beautiful young lady sitting there in the garden, she was dressed in green just like a pomegranate hanging on a branch. How softer was her figure than a reed branch, what light shines on her face. Her dreamlike beauty makes me breathless." The young girl was startled and asked, shaking with fear, "Who are you? How did you get into this terrible garden?" "Terrible garden?" The prince asked again in surprise. Then he told the end of his story. Only then did the girl calm down again. She also confessed to him, "I am also the daughter of a king. My father is very rich and powerful. On the night of my wedding, the evil Kaitaur kidnapped me and locked me here. Then he also murdered his newlywed fiancée. Every 7 days he comes here to force me to be his wife. I am like a bird locked in a cage, wanting to flap my wings and fly high into the sky." Khusrausha tried every way to comfort her. He told her thousands of interesting and thrilling stories and then had lunch with her at the restaurant. The dining room in the castle. She said, "Every day you can come here to visit me, eat and drink to your heart and number 39's content, but Dawn and number 39's touch this gilded cup. It contains a very dangerous magic water." Just like that, every time the work is finished. Khusrausha often visited the princess. They enjoyed talking to each other and were very grateful that fate had allowed them to meet. One day, when the princess was dozing off, the prince watched her sleep for a while and then went to examine the room. A gilded goblet is placed on a table. He wondered, "Why can a number 39's smack my lips a little? What could possibly happen?" He picked up the glass and drank. Nothing major happened, he just felt a little dizzy. A moment later, he said to the princess, "You need to escape from this place. Come with me. The Devil 1 and number 39's be able to find us." "No way," the princess answered, looking at him with surprise. "You know very well that he will find me and kill me." But Khusrausha doesn't and #39's care. Listen to her. The magical water confused his mind. He saw the ball and asked angrily, "What is this crystal ball next to the fountain used for?" The princess whispered worriedly, "When I rub it, the evil Kaitaur will appear." The prince immediately exclaimed, "Very good. Then we will call him. With just one blow of the axe, I will kill him to death because I am the strongest man in the world." The princess quickly knelt down and asked the prince not to do anything. "Please wake up." When he regained his senses, he pushed her away and quickly ran back to the fountain. He kicked the crystal ball with a powerful kick, and what had to happen happened. The ball was broken into thousands of pieces. Immediately, the ground shook violently to the deepest depths. The sky darkened and a thick cloud of smoke covered the garden. Khosrousha was extremely scared, quickly walked towards the stairs and ran all the way home, closing the door twice tightly. He hadn't and #39. T even recovered when the old tailor knocked on the door. A man has come to the store. He brought back the axe and sandals he had left at his house. Khosrousha looked down at his bare feet, feeling even more frightened. In panic, he dropped his sandals on the ground. Before he could react, the ceiling cracked and let the devil through. In his hands were an axe and the prince and number 39's sandals. He grabbed Khosrousha and flew him back to the underground castle. The prince seemed to be petrified, unable to move a bit, staring at the monster standing in front of him. The demon pointed at the princess and shouted, "Do you know this girl?" "I have never met her before." Khosrousha stammered in response. "So do you know him?" The demon turned to ask the princess. The princess trembled and replied, "No, I have never seen him." "But are his axe and sandals in this garden?" The princess fell silent and looked up at the prince with infinite sadness. The devil immediately hissed and commanded, "If you never know him, take this sword and stab him to death." What crime did he commit that warrants stabbing him to death? The princess suddenly cried out, "I cannot kill an innocent person." The devil turned angrier towards Khosrousha and ordered, "Take this sword and kill it because you see it for the first time." She didn't and #39 T do anything bad. It was the prince and number 39's turn to cry out, "I can," and number 39 T kill her. The demon was extremely angry because no one obeyed his orders. He hissed again, "Lie! You guys are all liars. I must punish you." He turned to the princess, "I will imprison you in a deep cave without food or water until you die of hunger and thirst." Immediately, the garden became dark, and for a moment then a new light flashed. Khosrousha looked everywhere but could not see the princess. "She has disappeared. You want to see her?" "The fanged demon axed you are wrong. I will give you a more pleasant fate." "I was so happy to see you turn into a monkey." Despite the prince and number 39's tears and explanation, the villain stole him and flew towards the highest mountain peak. When he arrived, he picked up a few stones and threw them at him and recited a spell. Khosrousha immediately turned into a monkey. His whole body was covered with a layer of beige fur, his eyes became big and round, his limbs danced continuously. The villain burst into laughter and disappeared. Khosrousha was extremely disappointed. He stood motionless for a long time, not knowing what to do. After that, he decided to go down to the valley. He jumped up and jumped from branch to branch, and on a beautiful day, he also reached the beach. Out in the bay, a fishing boat was anchored. The prince quickly jumped into the water and tried his best to climb up. In the past, he was a very good swimmer, but now no matter how hard he tries, he can and number 39 succeed. A sailor discovered it and immediately threw a rope for him to climb up. "What do we do with this monkey now?" the captain asked. A young sailor replied, "Nothing. Let and number 39's throw it back into the sea." Another person added, "Is it a ghost? This situation sometimes only brings misfortune. Let and number 39's kill it more quickly." Khosrousha looked at them with worry and fear. but he could N and #39 T speak human language to explain to them who he was. Finally, the captain decided, "It will follow me." After saying that, he put the monkey on his shoulder. The group drifted for 3 days on rough seas and high waves, and finally the ship arrived at a port. Just as the anchor rope tying the ship was wrapped around the port pile, a mandarin carrying the king and number 39's decree jumped on board and said, "Our calligraphy master has just passed away." Our young king was very sad because he could not continue to enjoy that elegant calligraphy. Is there anyone among you who is wise? If so, please write down a few lines and I will bring them back to present to the king. None of the sailors know how to write. They had to stand by and watch the paper and brush being handed out. At that time, the monkey jumped from the captain and number 39's shoulder and grabbed the paper with precise and agile movements from the captain and number 39's hand. Under the surprised eyes of everyone, the young man wrote the following lines. The words are like flying dragons and dancing phoenixes. The messenger collected the paper and brought it back to the king. When the king saw the words, he immediately wanted to meet the person with such masterful skills and exquisite words. He ordered the young man to be brought to the castle. "But that is not a human being," the messenger timidly said, for fear of the king and number 39's anger. "It is a monkey. I personally invite you." With the most solemn invitation the king repeated because his curiosity motivated him even more. The monkey was dressed in beautiful silk and brocade and was solemnly carried to the castle. On the way, people flocked to see him with their own eyes, and everyone both cheered enthusiastically and were extremely surprised. Inside the palace, the court officials all solemnly greeted him according to protocol. Everyone admired his proper manners. The king raised his hand and motioned for him to sit in the place of honor, and he sat right next to him. The monkey behaved with all the elegance and manners of a prince, which greatly pleased the king. He brought pen and paper to give to the guest. "Your Majesty," the monkey began to write extremely skillful Arabic strokes, both dark and light strokes. "From now on, I would like to be your most loyal servant to express my infinite gratitude." Then they played chess, among all the famous chess masters who attended, but Khusrausha was sure always be the leader. The king and number 39's admiration for him increased many times over. He invited him to come and witness a rare miracle. The queen walked in and looked at the animal in front of her and smiled slightly. "That and number 39's not an ordinary monkey, Your Majesty," she spoke. "That was Prince Khusrausha, son of the King of Persia." Having said that, she bowed respectfully before the prince. The queen was originally the daughter of a good god, so she knew very well the evil deeds of the evil Kaitaur. She immediately told the king what had happened to the prince since he left Persia. The monkey nodded sadly. The king asked his wife, "Can you give me back my human form?" "Yes, it will be as you wish, Your Majesty," the queen affirmed. She gathered everyone in the court, from the prime minister, the princes and aristocrats to the soldiers and servants, and of course the king and the monkey. She drew a large circle on the ground and asked. The king, the prime minister and the monkey sat inside the ring, on 3 gilded chairs, and forbade them to leave the ring no matter what happened. The queen took some water from a silver vase and poured it out. hand and then scaled the monkey and number 39's mouth. She said, "Get rid of the monkey form and return to your original human form." Khusrausha immediately turned back into a human sitting on a gilded chair. But at that moment, a cloud of black smoke covered the entire palace. Kaitaur appeared with a roar like thunder. His wide wings spread out, his white eyes turned crazy in their sockets, his donkey ears stood erect on his head. He howled in a rumbling voice, "How dare you stick your nose into my business?" He immediately turned into a lion, stretching out all his muscles, ready to rush at the young queen. But she was able to pull out a strand of hair and turn it into a shiny, sharp sword. The lion disappeared, replaced by a huge scorpion, erecting its tail filled with venom. The queen turned out to be a big snake. The two animals faced each other and decided to fight to the death. Then the two turned into winged creatures and soared into the air to continue the high-altitude battle. Dot. Dot. The ground cracked, and a cat with its back bent and its fur standing up biting the wolf and number 39's tail appeared. Then I saw a pomegranate fly into the sky and then fall to the ground and crush it. The wolf turned into a rooster and rushed out to peck at all the pomegranate seeds, but one seed was left and rolled into the gutter. The pomegranate seed turned into a small fish. A larger fish quickly chased after the small fish. The little fish jumped out of the water and turned back into a queen, standing ready to fight the enemy. But before he could return to his hideous form, the young queen spit fire and burned the canal, causing the water to fall. Evaporated completely. People heard a groan and the cruel Kaitaois disappeared forever. All was silent for a moment due to the turmoil over the strange things that had just happened. Khusrausha thanked the queen for his help. Him and asked if she could save the unfortunate princess who was imprisoned by the villain. The queen muttered a few spells and then disappeared. A moment later she returned with the beautiful princess. Khusrausha took the princess and number 39's hand and the two flew into the sky on a flying carpet. Prince Khusrausha returned to his homeland to merge his and his wife and number 39's kingdoms into a vast empire that he governed. The queen gave birth to many children. Thank you for joining us for today's fairy tale. We hope these stories bring joy and meaning to your day. If you love our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting tales. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams. See you in the next story.